circumstance.
Don't we like this? Don't we like this food? Don't we like this restaurant? Ready?
Yeah. All this and your calls today on Wade and Carter. Right?
What?
All this and your calls today on Wade and Carter.
Yep.
The Wade and Carter Show.
$3 million more on unemployment, more Biden BS, and will we see a Stanley Cup champion? All that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter.
It's a quality intro.
It's very quality.
And that's like,
That's a
wow, that's like right there.
It's a slow news day intro.
Who says 7 years of college down the drain?
Just 6. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, sir. Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
You just gurgle.
I
Gargled?
just to kind of loosen up the golden throat, you know?
Well, it's good for it to be loose. Let's do this.
South Texas weather brought to you by Wade and Carter in Victoria, Texas. It's 75 degrees, and they say foggy. I didn't see it.
I didn't see any.
75 degrees with a chance of rain escalating all day. Tomorrow morning should be raining. Just saying. But between now and then, it should be like 85 degrees.
I would love to see the data on how accurate the forecasting has become when the National Weather Service and the federal government cut costs and removed our weather station from the airport, just to see
Call John Paul Hull.
how accurate
JP Hull, Razor IT Solutions. That's the guy to study the analytics.
it's been, because I'm not sure.
The data.
I'm not sure.
Like he uses a laser.
I mean, like you said, they said foggy. I mean, there might be
foggy.
some, but I came from one direction. You came from another, and nothing. Nothing.
You came from one direction. I came from boys to men.
Oh, forgot to do that.
Yeah, well,
It's Friday. I'm just learning.
Who cares? You know?
I'm just learning this stuff.
Mm.
Oh, let's see who's in this morning. Groundbreaking day today. There's David Rice. Good morning. Scott Snow, Bobby Leister, C.W. Bean, Chris Conrad. Good morning to you. I've got to, Chris Conrad and I go back to Calgary. We played high school football together. They beat us in the city championships in '86.
Were you like a defensive tackle?
No, I was a slot receiver.
Hit me with the wide receiver.
Coldest football game I ever played that day.
On a steel gray Pittsburgh morning.
It was minus 20 Celsius. That's like 20 below Fahrenheit, just to give you.
That's ridiculous.
And we played.
The thundering herd of the Edmonton Apocalypse.
He went on to play college football, but he's living in Sugar Land now. And yesterday we were talking. When I go, I'm going to take him some Uncle Nuts rice.
Oh, that's great. That's a great
So
idea.
we're gonna go meet and
Because nothing says America like Uncle Nuts rice.
nothing. He's never had anything like Uncle Nuts rice.
Yeah.
So we'll go do that. Natalie Mayer, good morning. Matt Boucher,
Hello, Matt.
Lacey Merriman.
Lacey.
Yeah, groundbreaking day. Bobby Leister, I knew he was going to be all over it, but
Yeah.
50. We cracked the 50 mark. We're at 51. We're almost at a deck of cards.
Well, we had flattened the curve
yep.
in an effort to elongate our YouTube experience. But then in a moment of passion, the second wave came, and it's now 51.
We have a
YouTube
spike.
A
According
spike
to Bobby Leister.
in YouTubeness. Yep.
Larry Leahy, good morning. Bob
James
Watley.
Brown Friday to you. I feel good.
Fat Pat, good morning, buddy. H.R. Mallory.
The short bucket list. Pat Winter has us on the short bucket list to come visit.
Yeah, he's been threatening to come down for a while, too.
Wow.
So, Christina Wise, David Glass,
Wait till October. It'll be a little cooler. You can come during Boot Fest.
Well, he's in Houston, so he understands. H.R. Mallory,
I had him
James
in
Kurth.
California.
He's back now.
Good.
Paul Ebner, Marvin Mickish, Trey Molina. Good morning to you, Trey.
Okay. Funky Trey wants us to do a show in Corpus.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out.
We've done
James
a little
Kurth,
research.
Lisa Poole, Judge Posey. Let's see who's up here.
Magic 95 has a station in Corpus.
They do. We probably could do it from there. Torrin Bales, Michael Jolly,
Hey, Torn Bells.
Andy Ria Jr. I think we've caught
You
up.
said
with
hi to
everybody.
Judge Posey?
I did. Yep.
It's in his
did, sir.
contract.
Lisa Poole. I'm not sure I did say hi to her though.
You have to
She's in.
acknowledge the judge. It's in his contract. He said, I'll listen, but I want acknowledgement.
So you had an interesting point this morning when we were coming in
I
about,
did?
about second waves.
Okay.
So that's your
Well, that was
that's
my
your
intro.
cue. That's your
Well, I just asked the question, I'll pose it out there to our listeners. Has anybody in any form heard of any second wave? Like, are the Italians still all a panic? Has there been any second wave of COVID veracity in Germany or anywhere in Europe? Not that I know of. I haven't heard of anybody going, oh man, cases have spiked again.
yeah.
Haven't heard it. And remember when the government and
Although I did hear that they are there has been an increase in the Wuhan, but it's
What do you
China
believe
and
out of them?
nothing. I don't believe anything out of China, considering that they lied from the get go on this
see,
one.
the judge said, I appreciate that. He knows that we read the contract. I find it interesting though that there hasn't been any talk of a secondary spike anywhere else in the world, but we've got it figured out because we're America.
Well, Canada has had concerns of it.
Yeah,
But
they're always
also-
concerned.
It's interesting, and maybe they're not as worried about a second wave because their governments have more a role in their daily lives, and the people there just accept government to play that role.
Right.
And I think that's what this has become. This has become, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday, though. This has become a very politicized response now. The pandemic has been politicized because you've got governors in states that are absolutely wanting to continue to shut things down. And I think it's, if you look at where it is, it's and New York is actually starting to open up some places today.
New Yorkers are fairly resilient.
Yeah,
people.
they really are.
They'll get tired
I
of
got
this.
a bar owner there who's, they're doing all they can with the limited ability to do anything.
Is that place you go when
Yeah,
you're there?
hold fast. Yeah.
And then when you get on the bar and the girls drink rye out of your belly button?
Yes,
That's it.
That's the
Okay,
one.
I knew that.
Yeah. So
You came back last time with a bunch of cigarette burns on your torso. I don't know exactly what was going on up there, but being an athletic director is really, really strenuous. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
never.
It was you, Jerry Rice,
Michael Jordan,
right. You never know
and
what's
Charles
gonna happen.
Barkley,
Right.
and Jeremy Roenick.
Craziness.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought now.
Well, you were telling me about secondary curves.
Reliving the cigarette burns.
Right. You're telling
Scarring.
me, I love you. You were telling me about the secondary curve.
Jordan Stogie ones
Right.
left a bigger mark.
Mm.
But we haven't. You're right. We hadn't really seen it.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I've heard a few reports, and I didn't have time to really dive into it, but that numbers in Florida and Georgia are really dropping. I looked on the Facebook page of the Victoria Office of Emergency Management, and I haven't seen an update in cases since Tuesday, and maybe I just missed it. But if that's the case, that to me would tell me, because they did say we're only going to update information if we have new information, which tells me there's no new information.
Yeah, the county's like at 159 cases.
And I believe at the last time I saw it, I think 25 were active, somewhere in there. I mean, we're not talking a lot of active cases. No. And then yesterday, the city and county rescinded their declaration of disasters. So anything that they had declared now no longer in effect. So
time to go. It's time to light this candle. The beautiful thing is, if Victorians and Americans on the bigger picture will get out and get back to doing what they do, the economy will come back. We had a robust foundation. The economy was good. It's just time to get out and support the economy.
Yeah. Michael Jolley says, here's the narrative. And I don't know that it's just the media, Michael. I think it's the left as well, from flattening the curve to find the cure. And you're right. There's a segment of people that want a population that want us to basically be in perpetual lockdown mode, let the government continue to print money to fund a perpetual lockdown so that we all become wards of the state.
Absolutely.
And have to live off the government teat for the
waiting for the next stimulus
for the rest of our lives.
Everybody's going to get a stimulus check, $2,000 a month for life, right? It's like winning the B Team Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes.
Well, here's the idiocy of that too. You got a family of 5, and it was $2,000 a person, right? I don't think there was any age limit or nothing. So
$10,000, just have more kids.
Exactly.
And appreciate the way of life.
I mean, that's exactly what it was going to.
It's like welfare. We're all on welfare.
It was going to become a vote buying for generations type of scam.
Yeah, James Kerr says the governor needs to take note of any emergency declarations as well. It says bravo to Judge Zeller and Mayor McCoy for recognizing it was time to roll. I agree. Whatever happened to the idea, remember when the government was so emphatic, well, once the temperatures get to 80 degrees, the virus can't live. Is it possible that while that may not be true, that there's some validity that the virus naturally slows its growth now that the temps are up a little bit, except in Calgary where it's 0?
Yeah, well, I believe that's pretty much what happened with SARS, right? And I did a little research on this. That broke out in China in November of 2002. They sat on that information until January of 2003. They seem to have a habit of this, and we just let them get away with it all the time.
More and more people are telling me that they believe that just their personal belief is that this virus has been here much longer than we thought.
Well, you can't say things like that. You're no expert.
Right. Pre 2020. What did it say down below? So below James Kurt, there was a comment that looked readable.
Bobby Leister says 2 new cases Thursday, 23 active cases. So, okay. So we're curing them at a pretty good rate. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second with Judge Posey, because that's I did not catch that, and I don't know how I missed it.
Wow.
But
Judge,
you can't say things like that. But that's what happened with SARS. Basically, the weather warmed up and SARS disappeared.
Yeah.
And it's a coronavirus. I mean, I think technically this is SARS-CoV-2, right?
Yeah, it's a derivative of a morphing of the SARS virus.
Yeah, which is sudden acute respiratory syndrome, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So, I don't know, but the media and the Dems are going to look stupid again if all of a sudden the weather warms up and this thing goes away. And
I'll tell you something.
The president was saying that
you
months
said
ago.
Media looking stupid and all that. I'm not trying to shift gears on you, but I do want to get to what the judge shared. And I want to tell you guys that Ash and I, it's uncanny how when you just follow the little stories every day, the little bits that you can ferret out that make sense, you start seeing the trends that aren't going away. You start seeing the things that are going to be news. And I'm here to tell you, this Obamagate thing, it ain't going away. Trump is going to win, and he's got 4 more years to punish these people. And I'm telling you, now you want to talk about...
But they won't be, and here's why. The Dems don't play by the same rules, and they're not held to the same accountability as anybody else, because...
You want to talk deep state? If you have the courage to actually talk deep state, here's what I'll tell you. You better keep an eye out for a president getting assassinated, because I'm telling you, the Democrats are going to get that desperate and realize that the only chance they have to survive is to get rid of Trump, because this Obamagate deal goes all the way to the top. I'm telling you that Barack Obama said in briefings about an orchestrated plan that was put in place that he, at the very least, had to wash his hands of and say, y'all do what you need to do, as he walked out of the White House. As a sitting president, he at least did not report the planned subterfuge of an incoming president.
And then sat in the room with him and worked with him on his transition, knowing
that they were getting ready to.
Yeah,
no doubt. There's documents.
You want to talk psychopath behavior?
Oh yeah, Barack's in that job.
You know, Joe Biden, apparently one of the 39 individuals that requested for unmasking, and I believe he was linked to the unmasking of Paul Manafort.
Yeah.
But he denies having any knowledge of any of this stuff.
I never knew that guy. I don't know that guy.
No, and this
he
is
didn't
where
know that woman either.
This is where we get into the Biden BS.
Tara Reid doesn't remember her.
Working for him. Says he certainly didn't assault her, but in the same breath says we must believe people who bring this stuff forward. Well, then, if we must believe him, it must have happened, Joe.
He gets so animated, Ash, where he's talking about, I've got a record. Look at my record on women's rights. That doesn't mean that you individually are a perv, Joe. I mean, I've got 10,000
Look at your record
pictures.
on equal rights, Joe.
Right. What did Ron Sika say? Hurt employees are having trouble getting employees back because they get more from unemployment now.
Yeah, I actually listened to an interview with a small, and it's anecdotal.
Working for the government.
But I listened to a small businessman in an interview talk about that. His guys are getting $600 more a week on unemployment. And so they told, dude, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
It's better for my family to sit here. And here's the thing. If you're temporarily laid off and you don't go back to the job you had, your unemployment benefits should cease at that moment. It was there to help you through a rough patch, not to allow you to sit on the government dole till it runs out and then go find a job. If you're and this is a guy that actually got the PPP loan to enable his business to keep these guys on the payroll, and they're turning around and saying, sorry, man, the government's paying me more. I'm not coming back. That's when the program needs to cease to exist for those folks.
I agree. This is not an entitlement. I'm going to tell you, and it's a before we go back to Bob Watson and Art Howe, I am convinced that this most recent move by City Council to allow small business loans out of this new program, the more I think about it, the more that I'm adamant that this is not like a HIPAA deal where you get to go in and dip into our checkbook for free and not tell anybody. If you get a small business loan through this program, that if you apply, it should be public. If you receive, it should be monitored. If you don't repay, it should be noted. Because the last thing I even told a friend of mine yesterday, if I find out that a small business has received this loan, I'm going to do my best to patronize them. Hats off to them for having the gumption to reach out there and take advantage of an opportunity. I'm going to try to help that business. But if I find out that business is in business 2 years from now and they haven't repaid that loan, I'm going to boycott that business. And as a taxpayer, I should have a right to know if those people got funds or not.
I'd like to see the same accountability for the Payment Protection Program loans that have been issued for companies across the country to see if they actually put it towards saving the jobs.
Sure. But there's a lot of people that are like, I'm not paying that back. It's the government. I'm not paying it back.
Already paid for it.
Yep. So Judge Posey passed along two things. They date he and I. You're probably not even aware of who these folks are.
I know exactly who they are, but let's take our first break and then we'll get to it.
All right. Today's a great day to call Allen's Wrecker Service. If you need Allen's, if you need a tow, a lot of times it's not an emergency tow. You need to get a vehicle from here to there, from here to Atzenover's Body Shop. Reach out to Allen's, 578-6300. The VCS Company's Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, are all on Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop, just off Main. The Hartman family will take care of you with anything electronic, anything that telecommunicates.
Close. Same thing.
If you need to be transported
You're
electronically,
telecommuting.
yeah, from one place to another, then they can do that for you. They have a laser that'll get you there. Go by the AT&T store. They're still offering curbside service, but you can go in now. Check on the Hartmans, check on VCS, the epitome of quality in our city. SCT Building Systems, same thing. Driven by quality, driven by being a small, locally owned family business here in Victoria. Support those that support us. 564-8864. Clayton Help, that's his cell number. 564-8864. Let him come out. A she shed, a barn dominium, bricks and sticks, concrete form, whatever you need done, red iron and purlin.
They'll do it all.
That's what they do at SCT Building Systems. And then, of course, Bobby Leon and his family, Chesnick Furniture Company, 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Chesnick and Love make your house a home, and you just do better at Chesnick. Bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding, furniture, 50% off.
50%
celebration,
off. Yep.
100 years. 70 years at their current location. Go down and check it out.
So Art Howe,
Former Astros
player, manager.
Astros manager. Yep. Who else did he manage? He managed not Seattle.
Mets.
The Mets, yes.
And let's see, I just pulled it up. It was here somewhere.
Really?
And the A's.
Was he?
Forgot about that.
Did he
was
play
part of the Moneyball
with-
thing, I think.
He was older than Terry Cooley.
No, they were teammates in the
Okay.
early '80s, and I've met Art Howe. He's very well put together
Very
gentleman.
nice
Still,
guy, yeah.
very nice guy,
Yeah, very nice.
and still in very good shape. 73 years old, and this is an ESPN report. But apparently, he told KPRC in Houston that he ended up in the hospital on Tuesday. First felt the symptoms May 3rd, learned he was positive 2 days later, tried to recover from home, but had to go to the hospital by ambulance on Tuesday after his symptoms grew worse.
So he's in ICU with COVID.
Yeah, and he was talking apparently to KPRC and said that initially he was shaking worse than he's ever shook in his life from the chills of the fever. Total fatigue, did lose his sense of taste. Said he's never experienced anything like it before, and has to go 24 hours without a fever before he can be released.
We do believe he's on the mend.
And it sounds like it.
I mean, if he's giving interviews to KPRC and saying, "Hey, as soon as I go 24 hours
Yeah.
without fever, I'm getting out of here."
Yeah, out of the ICU. So
Good
yeah,
for him.
So that's good news.
Look up some numbers on Bob Watson. When I think Bob Watson, that's when I start thinking Jose Cruz. I think a little bit of Craig Nettles. You go back to Cesar Cedeno. That's what I think of Bob Watson. He was an all-star.
Was GM of the Yankees, first black general manager to win a World Series.
He played for the Yankees as well, didn't he? For a little while.
I know he spent his first 14 years with the
Houston.
Astros. Yeah.
What kind of numbers did Bob Watson put up? He was a solid performer.
Two-time All-Star.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, let's see what his played for Boston, the Yankees, and the Braves as well. 295 career batting average, 184 home runs, 989 RBIs, 802 runs scored.
And a 295 lifetime hitter.
Yeah,
that's a fine player,
That is.
folks. That's modern era hitting over 275. You're a good player.
297 with the Astros was his career totals.
I mean, that's one single a week from being just a 300 hitter.
Was the first player to hit for the cycle in both leagues. Did it for Houston in 77 and Boston in 79. So there you go.
As
And
Johnny
he-
Carson would say, I did not know that.
Died from, I guess, complications with liver diseases or kidney disease. So
He was older, though.
last night, yeah, 70. Not a whole lot. 74. So it's only a year
He
older than
also
Art Howe.
played with Art Howe.
Yeah,
Because Howe's
yeah.
73. But now Terry's young.
And would have played with Terry as well.
Yeah, but Terry would have been just a young deer, just a young fawn with spots loping around in the outfield back then.
Yeah, because he was already in Boston in 79, and when Terry came up in 77. Is that right?
Is that right?
I think so.
Nicky Vincent, that's a very subtle Italian person coming in right there.
Hey, here,
Agreed, the Pandora's box that is open for ages. Trump had the tenacity to take it on. I think
Baseball fans
Nikki's a
everywhere.
girl, so I didn't get that right.
Not at all.
Sorry, Nick.
But baseball
know.
fans everywhere will remember Bob Watson for this line.
Let's play two.
Hey, come on, let the kids play.
Was that during the strike?
Bad News Bears, remember?
Oh, was that right? Okay. Nice.
Bad News Bears and Breaking Training. Remember they were playing at the Astrodome when their game was cut short because the Astros had to get on the
That's
field?
right. That was Bob Watson. That's
And then the
right.
whole crowd, let them play. Remember?
Yes.
So there you go.
Look at that. Hey, folks, by the way, all of you that like Lisa Poole, what did Lisa say right there? She's got something brilliant. She ain't crazy. She knows.
Yeah, let me see what she says. Dems know, knew, and realize that Trump cannot be bought. They're going down a very, very deep rabbit hole, and right now just scratching the surface.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this deal with this Obamagate deal, really, folks, is going to blow up into. It's just going to. I mean, I'm going to tell you that if you saw what everything that Dick Nixon did in the Nixon White House that got him to resign the presidency, that is just a bad day in modern politics.
Kind of is.
That's a bad day in modern. What? Oh, what? There was a wiretap? Oh, somebody had a wiretap? Well, now we go to the courts with made up information and lie about people to then
Get a
have
warrant.
surveillance
Yeah.
on them through the FISA courts. And you've got federal judges going, that guy's a traitor. That guy should be brought up for charges of treason. And they make things up.
Heck, we don't even need the warrant of the Patriot Act.
Yeah, just go with that.
Yeah.
Thank you, W.
Yeah.
There's where they first started really taking your civil liberties, and we all just gave in because W is such a good guy. We all just gave in
and we bought into the brainwashing that the terrorists were coming after us, and we needed to protect ourselves from them
Now, don't get me
and
wrong.
ourselves from ourselves.
I look at a guy like Saddam Hussein, and I say, good riddance.
Yeah.
But do you ever look back and say, where were those weapons of mass destruction, or did they lie to us to do what they wanted to do? Now, the fact is, I agreed with what they did. The guy needed to go. I didn't need a big excuse. I didn't need a smoking gun. He was a bad guy.
You want to talk about
They lied to
history?
you.
You want to talk about history repeating itself? We should have finished the job in '91
Yep.
because apparently we didn't learn anything from the end of World War II when we should have gone after Stalin.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I've read books where MacArthur and especially Patton were like, are you kidding me? Let's go all the way to Moscow.
Yeah, I thought Churchill wanted to do that too.
Well,
Didn't
I'm
he?
sure he did. And
But by then they
the
just
American people were tired. The war had gone on for long enough.
Yeah,
Not to mention
and don't forget, VE Day didn't end the war; it ended it in Europe.
those pesky Russians would have fought till the death. They had nothing
Well,
else.
but people forget until they actually set foot on Japanese soil. Even though we dropped 2 atomic bombs on them, it didn't do anything.
Right?
We dropped the bombs in what, August? They didn't wave the flag of surrender for a couple more months after that. And it was about the time the Russians set foot because they knew at that point, it's over. I mean, we had been waging war and bombing the heck out of them.
I'm trying to picture the Russians in those long gray wool
Yeah.
coats stepping onto Japan in the South Pacific when it's 140 degrees. I'll tell you what's easy to picture today, folks. Your last chance at Veracruz for the week. Get by Veracruz today. They'll bring it to your curb. They'll bring it to your house. Call an order, pay over the phone. You don't have to touch anybody. You say, put it in the back seat. They'll open the door, put it in. They're wearing gloves. Veracruz is protecting you and your family while still providing the finest Mexican food in this town. Reach out to Lee and I today by phone, 576-6015. Place your order and get after it. Do it today because you won't be able to get it till Monday.
And you'll regret it.
You will. You'll start craving that enchilada on about Saturday afternoon when you're laying there watching celebrities on ice or something.
Or Sunday morning if you have a
Old
Zoom
Superstars,
happy hour.
Superstars highlights.
Battle of the Network Stars. That was an awesome
absolutely.
show.
With Bruce Jenner. I mean, Caitlyn, well, whatever.
Still Bruce back then.
Right?
I wonder if they changed the name up when Bruce is in a. Do they still say Bruce?
Bruce from back then.
You can't. Yeah.
How about if you're like a middle-aged guy and you're like, I lost to him in the Olympics?
He was good.
He was good. Razor IT Solutions. Speaking of good, you need help with your analytics, building a website, building a presence, enhancing a brand, putting up a paywall. Reach out.
Taking names, kicking butts.
There you go. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his team can help you and make it happen. The Atzenhofer dealerships. Since 1926, just quite simply Victoria's dealership. My mom went by yesterday, in and out in about 5 minutes, got her car inspected.
Nice.
Go by Atzenhofer, get your car inspection. They're still kind of granting you some leeway, I think, at the tax assessor's office, but you might as well stay current with your inspection so that when it's time to renew your license, you can do so.
Yeah, because the inspection is good for 90 days.
Yeah. So
and I think you can still do it via mail. You can mail it to the tax assessor. I know there's been some issues because our DPS office is closed, and I know people are worried
trying to get
license renewals and stuff. Yeah.
But at the Atzenhofer dealership, whether you need paint and body, whether you need service on any make and model, you want to buy a Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Cadillac, Chevy, they got it all.
They got them all.
Then they also have your Lexus is still sitting.
I saw it. Yep. They moved it a little bit.
It's a beautiful black car. It's less than $20,000. I mean, you can't. I mean, I'm sorry. That's like about a $5,000 car.
And I think there's only around 50,000 miles on that thing. It's low miles and in really good shape. If I needed a car, it'd be mine.
It's like $500,000 in Canadian money.
It really
that's
is.
not the point.
No.
It'd be nice to have. It's a beautiful car. There's Rena.
Well, if we wait long enough, and let's see, I can lie on my forms and say I've got a family of 10.
Bam.
I got that car and then some.
No problem. That's the first month.
Yeah. Easily.
White Trash Services. I'm sporting the shirt. Check it out.
Nice.
550-1826. You reach out to the boss.
I can get one of those.
Yeah, I think I gave you one.
No,
you reach out to the boss.
I got a hat.
It's at the house.
I gotta get a shirt.
Maybe Dawn sleeps in it. I'm not positive. Reach out to White Trash Services and get a roll-off dumpster for your next big project. You're going to build a home out in the county. You need a place to put all the stuff. They're your home.
You're renovating. You need a place to put all that stuff.
550-1826. They do it. Routine 6 counties and growing. Another family-owned, local, small Victoria business. Help those that help us.
Provide great customer service, answer all your questions, and you'll talk to somebody every time.
By the way, Dwayne Proctor.
Unless you call them at midnight, but they might even.
She might answer. GDP text 550-4744. Dwayne Proctor can help you with your laptop issues.
We didn't really talk about this the other day, and I don't know why, but apparently Mike Tyson is rumored to be getting back into the ring.
53 years old and not afraid. I watched him train, and he is one. I mean, he would just scare you to death. I like your comment, James Kurth. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
Ash and I talked about that before the show.
Scott Tomko, good morning. He's in. Rena Scherer's in. Marty Stockbauer.
She's not Aunt
BJ Nelson.
Anymore, you know. She's more like a sister now. When I found out she was younger than me, it kind of made me.
Patrick Strauss.
Hard to be my aunt.
Let's see. Scored the 1,000,000th run. I wonder if Bob Watson did.
Yeah. Scored the 1 millionth run in baseball history.
Interesting. Jeremy Levitt, good morning to you, buddy. Hope all is well. Sherry Lynch checking in.
What did Trey Molina say that's way off the topic?
How did you guys start? Green and Golick have nothing on you guys.
I appreciate that very much.
We'll wait for a real slow news day to get to that.
We can tell them. We don't have a lot going on.
No.
How about that? Torn Bales says Pump House and Hoovar's downtown open today.
Good. Get out.
Excellent.
So where were we? Mike Tyson. Going to get back into the ring.
He's just a machine.
You know what? I boxed a little in college. I loved it. Didn't lose a fight. The left hook is the hardest punch to throw for a right-hander. I finally understood why they call it the sweet science, because it is physics and leverage, and you learn that when you actually, it's different than fighting in hockey.
Right.
Absolutely. You're not on little 8-inch thin pieces of steel, but there is a science to throwing it. It is leverage and physics, and interestingly, it's almost like how Sandy Koufax breaks down his pitching.
Is how you break down a punch?
It's kind of how you break down a punch, or at least it was broken down for me. And our coach was an old boxing coach from way back. He was in his 60s at the time that I was in boxing, and he still threw a harder punch than any of us 20-year-olds.
Because he understood the leverage.
Yeah.
He understood what he was doing.
Even when you had the pads up, your hands were stinging when he threw the punch.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but
Mike Tyson maybe making a comeback.
and I hate to say it, I think boxing needs it. I don't know that Tyson's probably as good as anybody out there in the heavyweight division at this point.
There is no more Ali. There's no more Sugar Ray Leonard. There's no more Oscar De La Hoya, Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao. These guys that had personalities that made
Vinny
the sport,
Pazienza,
but the ones that made the sport interesting are gone.
Kelly Tripucka.
Right. Forward, Notre Dame.
No. There was a guy, though, around the time of Pazienza, and I can't remember his name, but he looked exactly like Tripucka, white dude with the frolet.
I remember him.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but you're right. But boxing is missing that, and even after Tyson, you still had Buster Douglas. He was a little bit of a character. George Foreman came back in the 40s and kicked everybody's butt. Evander Holyfield was very good. You had names that were recognizable in the heavyweight division, and once Tyson got beaten, wasn't the Tyson era. You ended up with a few Russians, a couple brothers over there that really didn't do much.
But I think Mike's even admitted he had some problems at the time, personal problems, and I would be much more likely to get in the ring and get blistered by a 46-year-old Foreman than I would to get in the ring with a 53-year-old Tyson. James Curtis points out how many weapons of mass destruction were transferred to Syria. Yeah, I oversimplified that, James, and you're correct. And obviously, what you guys did and what the military did over there really mattered. I was just saying, it's not beyond our government to lie to us to obtain the result they want. Rena Shear says the tax office, hopefully you moved it, will open Monday. Where'd it go?
Yeah, it's there with sneeze shields in place.
There you go.
Yeah. So, no, I sent something to the tax office and real quickly got a receipt in the mail and everything's good. So, BJ Nelson says they have a 15-year-old trying to get his permit, and it's a little frustrating at this point.
Right. No doubt. And there's very few things more exciting than when a kid has the opportunity to go and legitimize their driving. Kids like to get their driver's license. They show it to each other. And I'm going to give you all a hint on something that I've done at least 3 times. When I need to renew a license, I take the short drive to Cuero and go right in. There's never, ever anybody in there. You walk in, look in the screen. There's two desks.
I think Cuero's open right now.
Yeah, if you go out to our local DPS office, you can sit there all day trying to renew a driver's license.
Well, they make you take a number, and you can actually leave and probably run a day's worth of errands and go back, and they still probably hadn't even gotten
very
close to you.
few places less efficient than our local DPS office.
But what's interesting? The ladies there are always friendly and helpful. I just don't know why. And maybe it's a volume issue.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm not blaming anybody. No. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm just blaming them.
But I've never had a bad experience dealing with the ladies in that office. It
no,
just takes
super
forever.
Nice folks. It just takes forever. You just take a lunch.
There's J Dub.
Awesome. J Dub checking in from the Great White North.
Holyfield, according to Johnny Houghton, Holyfield put out a video of him training as well.
Mike Tyson, I'll take Tyson over Holyfield any day Evander wants to get back in the ring.
Jeremy Levitt says, I want to see Iron Mike bring some relevance back to the ring. That's the problem. Boxing could not keep pace with the MMA and the UFC.
BJ didn't understand your skate reference. She thinks hockey fighting can be orchestrated.
No. There are times where it's planned, but this isn't like the WWE where you know the outcome beforehand.
And what is
fans a lot of times will know the outcome because they know who's going at each other and which ones.
If you go down, it's when somebody hits the ice, the fight's over, right? Because I can remember watching them literally hold each other up
for the
wanted to get some blows in.
For the most part, there are times when the guy will go down for a second and get back up and try to get back at it. But yeah, for the most part, unless he crumbles, takes a punch, it's one of those, and then. But the one thing, very rarely will you ever see a hockey player punch a guy on the ice. Once they're down, it's kind of it.
Well, the official's usually right there. That's what I used to wonder, like, why is he standing there watching it? And he was just watching what happened. I can remember seeing blood on the ice.
Well, well, then they come out with the scrapers. They get rid of that. Nice. There's no issues there. Pick up the teeth while they're at it.
Give them back to the guy.
They do. Well, they're on ice and they stay on ice. Then they go get them to the dentist. Team dentist is right there. But, it's not, sometimes a coach will put out a certain player to start a game and the other coach will put that player in the lineup and what's going to happen, but that doesn't happen very often. The last time I can recall was a Calgary-Vancouver game. John Tortorella was the Vancouver coach. Bob Hartley was the Calgary coach. So if you YouTube those coaches, Vancouver-Calgary, you'll see the start of that one. It was just a line brawl to start the game.
So James Kirk brings up the idea that what's her name? Greta? Is it Van Susteren?
No, that was Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, Thunberg, the young British lady.
I think Greta Van Susteren was the one that. She's the one that got a lot of fame post OJ trial.
Oh, that's right. Well, Greta, the young girl that was like, my childhood's been disrupted by global warming. Well,
how dare you?
At the time, it didn't take much to realize that she was
a puppet.
A puppet, as James Kirk points out, a parrot. She didn't know anything. She didn't do anything but regurgitate data given to her by handlers. And I thought she was really kind of an embarrassment to Britain and to herself when she talked about global warming. Now, somehow, they've got her on some task forces or whatever committees or roundtable discussions.
She was a CNN coronavirus expert.
Coronavirus. Now, this kid doesn't know peas from carrots about anything.
Shine from Shinola.
Right. And she is now on CNN. You talk about just being a ratings whore. Anything, that's CNN, not her. Anything they can do.
She loves the limelight.
Just craziness. I couldn't even deal with it.
But the interesting thing is, anybody who's not an immunologist and virologist, even doctors these days are getting shunned for their opinions on things. But certainly, if you don't have some of those and PhDs and other things behind your name, long list of letters, you can't speak on the subject. You have no right to speak on the subject. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
These are the things they come at you with. But somehow a 16-year-old kid from Norway, 17 now? Okay, she had a birthday. Happy birthday, Greta. Somehow, a 17-year-old kid from Norway
ends up on
and she's an expert on the coronavirus.
Yep. Uncle Norm says it's 72 with possible rain in Frisco. 75 here, Norm, same situation.
Jeremy Levin asked if we watched the Boom Boom Mancini story. No, I read a book on him years ago, and it was fascinating then. I'd like to see that.
Jazz trumpeter, wasn't he? Boom Boom, out go the lights.
He was pretty good. Boy, there were some characters in boxing. There were characters in sports, period, back then.
Bobcat says, hey, perfect time to box with social distancing in effect. No kidding. There's Jeremy Pena. JP, where are you at today?
Good punch in the face. And speaking, slugging moistly goes flying.
Spittle goes everywhere.
Jeremy Pena checking in. Chris Conrad says any heavyweights are too big for him to fight now, even though Tyson's a better fighter. Guys are 6'6", 6'9" now, 270.
I'm telling you, he would tear up that midsection.
Tyson's more, yeah, he's probably more light heavyweight now. You're
Yeah.
right.
He might tear up that midsection now.
Yeah. Jeff Coleman checking in. Good point by Chris Conrad. What does James Kerr say? He doesn't agree on the government agendas, but there's some things about Iraq the average citizen will never know. Oh, no
I
doubt
agree with
about it.
that.
Yeah,
There's
no.
no doubt. Yeah, I agree with that.
PJ Nelson says two kinds of kids in this world:
Yeah.
those dying to get their licenses and those that are scared to death.
We apologize for the dead air. As Ash and I are both involved in a remedial reading class, and when these comments come up, sometimes we're really slow.
J Dub says, "Hey, come on, Brent. We're going to 17 today. in
Wow.
Calgary." That's 17 Celsius, folks.
J
That's
Dub,
in the 60s.
we love you, J Dub. Give us a call, buddy. 361-575-9509. Let's talk about the land of perpetual winter, the Great White North. The reason that the U.S. didn't press further northward back in the day.
Well, because we burned the White House and actually beat you in 1812.
Why would you? Yeah, everybody knows that is the rally cry around the world. Don't mess with Canada. It's well known. It's like the Mossad. Don't mess with Israel and don't mess with Canada.
You?
Well known, maybe on a little lesser scale.
I got corrected. Greta's Swedish. It's not Norwegian.
Yeah,
I should have known.
we're just going to take Christopher Conrad's word for that.
Oh, she is. I recall.
That's okay. I called her British, so whatever. She's one of the
You
issues,
called her Greta Van Susteren.
right? Greta
Yeah.
Van Susteren-ish. We
Sure.
communicated.
Jody Pickett checking in. Amy Monday. Good morning.
You said Jody Pickett chicken?
Jody Pickett checking in.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
Jody Pickett chicken. Gotcha.
Thanks, James Kurth. I won't do that. Can't make fun of her or the situation, or you're a bad person.
Oh, yeah, he's being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're right. And it's because she's a child, but that's the whole point. And the fact that she's a child is the reason I thought for a while that she was like going to try to go on a around the world cruise. Did she do that? Did I dream that she was like on a sailboat?
Yeah, she was. That's how she was
Okay.
getting everywhere.
What a good
When she
thought.
wasn't flying or taking a train first class and lying about it.
Great question by BJ Nelson. Hey, do you think Boot Fest will have to be canceled because of the lower city tax income? You know what ought to happen?
Well, but they can only use that money for certain things. They can't repurpose that money into streets. They can't repurpose that money into other things. It has to go to things that bring tourists to town.
I have two they're not diametrically opposed comments. They're just things that to me they work in unison. I believe exactly what T-Lad has said. T-Lad has said you need to charge people to come in. And at the same time, I don't really care if Boot Fest loses a couple of bucks. If we're going to loan $500,000 to these people that are going to default on their loan,
No, 350 because 155 of that goes straight off the top
but
of the
in
people
some of it
administrating
coming
to
in,
learn.
and there's some grants. Like, where's the P?
Yeah,
There's the P. Let's
supposedly.
move it around. There's the P.
And I do want to point out because social media, city council was taken to task on social media, but Jeff Bachnight and Andrew Young voted against
Yes.
this proposal as well. I want to make that clear because they've sort of been lumped in with, and everything ranging from socialist to we need to,
So people were opposed
pitchforks
to
and
this.
yeah,
That's probably because of us.
pitchforks and torches, and I just want we don't need to get to that point.
We did
People.
kind of make a big deal about it.
But Jeff Bachnight and Andrew Young, council members, did vote against this proposal, but they've sort of been lumped into council at this point. City council approved. City council approved.
Right.
No, it wasn't city council. I mean, technically they did,
It was 5.
but there were two dissenting votes, and I just want to make that clear.
Oh, another great comment by Bobcat Watley. Holyfield wants Tyson, ear for an ear. I like that.
That meme was pretty good going around with Holyfield's mask not being able to fit because
Because he didn't have an ear.
oh
You'll
Lord,
remember, folks, that Mike Tyson bit his ear off
Yeah.
in the fight.
you may remember. I'm surprised you do at your age.
What did BJ say?
I just jumped. She started the Visitors Bureau back in 2019, and they were doing a 6-month survey to see if it would be appropriate to
Yeah.
charge for Boot Fest. I'm sure they got put
Oh,
on the
yeah.
back burner.
There's very few results come out of those things.
Whether or not it's appropriate, I think it
$5,
needs to be
yeah.
done. I don't know that a modest fee is going to keep people away.
Yeah, $5 to get in, just to make it,
At
And here's
least
the
to
deal.
cover the cost of the bands.
Yeah, exactly. Now I will tell you, and I'm not reaching here. You know, you groups like Atzenhofer that do a lot to sponsor this, that come out of pocket for it. It's not all just the city.
No.
But be aware that there's nothing wrong with having to pay to go to this event. And I didn't used to feel that way. I used to think, hey, it's a big party for the city. It's good for everybody to get together. But if it's going to lose money every year, and if every year people are going to hate it, then charge for it.
It's always the ones that don't go that complain too. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah.
I haven't gone the last couple of years. I haven't been that enamored with the acts, and that's kept me away. Scheduling has also kept me away, but I don't complain about it. I have no problem with Boot Fest, to be honest. I don't. I think it's a great idea. I think we could do some things to differentiate ourselves even more. I think it's too much like Turkey Fest and all the other fests, and you know, the main complaint I have with it, to be honest, is there are bands out there where people actually, and you want to spend some money, there's bands that have followings that actually bring people with them.
Van Halen.
Guns N' Roses. I'm not saying but these people, there is a concert tourism industry with certain bands. Fish.
With Van Halen.
Fish. The Grateful Dead. I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, out of you know,
Jerry
a little different.
Awesome.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Just thinking a little differently here. But
Elvis.
honestly, if I wait long enough, I can see these same acts either in a couple of weeks in Yorktown, at Western Days, or at Turkey Fest, or at Schrader Hall when they come back through.
Right.
There's nothing unique enough about the acts at Boot Fest that really get, oh boy, I got to go. I got to see it.
To go.
You know? And that's where I think if they tweaked it and changed it up, then Boot Fest might actually bring people from out of town because, geez, I can't see that act anywhere else. Spend a little money. I mean, geez, imagine Jimmy Buffett playing here.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
He loves those types of festivals. He plays minor league ballparks all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be so brutally. And you know who could help us with that? I'll tell you, help JP Hall. He's helped a lot of those things get together.
Marvin Baker says $5 beer a bit much if they're losing. You know, I disagree again, Marvin. You're a captive audience. Again, people complain about losing money.
You go and see the Astros.
$10 for a crappy beer.
Yeah, you drive. Well, it's only $8, but you drive 2.5 hours. You pay $25 to park. You pay $80 for a ticket. And you pay $8 a beer and think, wow, what a great experience.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if you're watching me and Ash play the harmonica, it may not be worth your time. But you know, it's funny you say this, and I don't know why. It rubbed me enough that I'm going to say something about it, maybe even again. But I remember you said it's the people that don't go that complain the most. I literally had,
except for the beer drinkers.
But I had a gentleman come up and tell me that he didn't like our show. And I said, okay, I'm always curious. I'm always trying to make it better. And guess what? I can change it like that. Like that, I can change the show. So what do you not like about the show? And he said, well, you guys just attack people and you don't give them a chance to defend themselves. And I said, that's just fundamentally not true. I said, number one, our phone number is on the screen every day. We invite people to come in every day. People always have a chance to have a dissenting voice. And well, I said, so what, when you listen to the show, what do you not like? Oh, I don't listen. Oh, okay, then shut up.
Yeah.
That was one of the.
I don't listen, but I attack people, and yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the lacks, and Jay Lack, I think, that told me that.
BJ Nelson paid $16 for a drink at an Aggie game. Johnny Houghton says $5 beer. Canadians would travel for that cheap of a beer.
Right. Well, that's $14.50 in Canadian money, Johnny.
Yeah. So.
Jody B. Picket Chicken. No, she said no chicken. Yeah. No chicken.
No chicken.
Okay, I didn't know that, but when you said it, I thought it was
Picket Chicken. Always the lazy coworkers complaining.
Right.
BJ says she's worked and attended Boot Fest.
Yeah, I've enjoyed Boot Fest a lot, but it's funny, it's polarizing because people, to me, it's always the people who could easily afford to pay $10 to get in and $10 a beer that are so vehemently opposed to it. It's just a money loser. And it is. It is a money loser.
And then the same people who complain there's never anything to do in this town.
Right.
So we bring something to do. But I guess some people just aren't happy unless they're complaining, right?
That's what makes this show go around.
Yeah. So what was it? Was the dude's name Richard Burr, the senator from North Carolina? Not
Yeah.
Raymond Burr. That was the actor, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
or Aaron Burr.
Or Aaron Burr. But yeah, former
Right.
president, right?
Right. Or yeah. Anyway,
So he steps down from the chair of the National Intelligence Committee yesterday.
because they're in the middle of a insider trading deal
Yeah.
that involves people like Dianne Feinstein. People
Who's
who-
just sort of skated off this because she sits on that committee. And I guess because her husband runs a large trading thing.
Yeah, she made money off.
Yeah.
She knew in advance that stocks were going to change, and she capitalized on it. No pun intended. And this guy, this Burr, has now said, "Well, I better step down temporarily as the head of the committee while I'm being investigated for insider trading." And these people, these people need to go. I mean, these people need to be run out of Congress.
It's interesting, though, because the left, again, calling for him to be gone, but have just absolutely been silent with Dianne Feinstein's absolutely exactly the same behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, on the same day, I think, her husband just divest shares in the companies that he had.
How about BJ Nelson saying, "I wish we had an awesome historic home tour that brings people from all over." And then she throws in, James Kurt throws in, with wine tasting at each location. You know what Victoria
I think we
could
do
be?
have that, don't we? I think we did at one point have a historic home.
No,
tour.
that was just you driving around downtown with a ball of Ripple.
Oh, is that it?
You had that
Okay.
ball of Ripple driving around downtown.
I thought it was one of the same.
Let me tell you, you know what Victoria does miss the boat on and could make some money on? I'm telling you, I have got it from great sources that this region right here is one of the premier bird watching places in the world. That there are certain birds that come through here, they converge here on their migrations. And I had a rep call on me several years ago, and this was a young, educated man. And I said, "Well, you want to catch 9 holes this afternoon?" And he said, No, if it's okay, I'm going to go down to Riverside Park. I did some reading, and there's just some kind of ruby-throated warbler or something that only comes through here once every couple of years. And he goes, "They've been spotted at Riverside, and I've got to go see one." Okay. Didn't really want to play 9 holes with that guy anyway, but he went
Yes,
to the park. I thought that was great.
and interestingly enough, bird watchers,
They spend money,
well, but they get tight. Well, yeah, they have to have money to get,
right?
to
It's
where they're going to this.
purely a disposable income hobby.
but they get typecast as older men and women, and it's absolutely not the case.
Smoking a little dope, checking out the birds.
No, those are the disc golf players.
right? Oh man, I guarantee you.
Bob Wadley says, "Hey, finally something by nonpartisan insider trading."
Right? I could be the greatest stereotyper of all time. I mean, I know all the stereotypes. And you know what's sad about stereotypes? Most of them are rooted with a little accuracy. It's just not good. It's just true.
James Kerr said he had one person show him a bird when he was waving his sign for his election campaign.
Right?
See?
I like that. They flew you one. You're number one, James.
BJ Nelson says, do a traveling bird watching festival. Travel in limos.
No doubt. And with
No, they
wine,
like to be by themselves.
with wine, out the sunroof. Bob Constantine taking you around Riverside Park.
James Kerr has got a bald eagle out of his place occasionally. Those are absolutely majestic birds when they're flying. I love them.
I caught a chakalaka and I painted its head white, and everybody thinks it's an eagle.
You would do that.
Right? Just paint. Get a buzzer, just spray paint it white.
PETA's on you for cruelty to animals. Paint dries, the bird can't open its beak to eat.
There's Brent Anderson. You know, my mother asked me yesterday, has Brent Anderson always been as kind and a thoughtful person as he is now? And I said, yes, he has always been a great guy.
Torn Bales is a wine drinking bird watching tour. That's almost a country song right there.
Right? In a golf cart downtown Torrin. Stop up at Villa Farms, have a little buffet, get back in and go.
Go to Riverside Park. Make sure you got your slow moving vehicle triangle on the back of your cart.
Speaking of
Don't get in
buffet, and real quick and lastly, get over to Uncle Mutt's Barbecue this weekend. They're open Saturday and Sunday.
It's not a
We'll buy
buffet,
from
but you
church.
could treat it like one.
Well, yeah, it's a buffet to go, whether you want brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey.
Ribs.
If you want Uncle Mutt's rice, if you're just going for the first time, which would make you the last person in town to do so, you're like the guy wearing the members only jacket and you find out you're the last member. Go buy Uncle Mutt's and say, I want a quart of your Uncle Mutt's rice and I want a quart of your green beans. They'll keep for 2 days. You can eat them over the weekend and get some brisket and some sausage and some ribs. And you'll be glad you did.
Yes,
Uncle Mutt's Barbecue is just quite simply the best barbecue in town. Gray Barn Design, Cheryl will come out, help you. She'll listen. Cheryl's is a great listener, and she will listen to you about what you want your party to be. And she will help you, whether it's a party, a Kinsey, you got a wedding coming up, a reunion. She's going to do my funeral. She'll outlive me by 30 years. So when I kick it, she'll do my funeral.
She hasn't sent you the estimate for that yet, has she?
No, we'll just take it right out of the proceeds. 920-6803. That's Gray Barn Design.
Ticket sales.
Right
off
ticket
the
sales.
top.
We're going to have a slide entry fee and only $3 beer at my funeral. It'll be great. It's going to be held at the community center. Of course, Gary Moses will officiate.
And the Grateful Dead will play.
Absolutely.
It's fitting.
Folks will be grateful that I'm dead. Wint Generators. Reach out to Carl Wint and his team, because right now they're helping people not only get ready for storm season, which is upon us, people.
Yeah, and I did post the 2020 hurricane preparedness guide from the National Weather Service on the Wade and Carter Facebook page, so you can check it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I think this storm season, all indications are it can be very active.
On average, 3 years after a major hurricane, another one hits this region. That's sort of been the trend according to the hurricane preparedness guide. So we're 3 years from Harvey.
I'm going to make a prediction with the certainty that I say the Cowboys go 9-7, or maybe 9-8 if we play 17 games. I'm going to tell you that I think this area dodges a bullet this year. We have no hurricane in our proximity. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be ready.
You're just a regular person. What do you know?
No, I'm like Greta. We got Greta on the hurricane preparedness chart. But get with Wint and get you some solar panels that now feed into a Generac battery pack, and you've got sustainable energy.
Yeah.
You'll be glad you did it. Reach out to Wint Services. If you've ever thought about, well, what could solar do for me? Talk to them. They are the professionals, and they are representing American-made products.
Well, the Iceman checking in just in time for us to check out of here. Steve Kidder says the Cowboys under McCarthy will win a dozen. That's saying a lot for a Texans fan.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. Brother Gary's in there. He's loosening up the vocal cords for his stint with Ralph.
I don't see the Cowboys winning a dozen, but
He says 12.
I've kind of been with you, 8-8, 9-7.
It's a contract year though. Dak wants that money. He might be playing hard.
I think they could win 10. You know what's interesting?
First round of the playoffs,
yeah,
and then lose.
Yeah. Speaking of contracts, just a final thought. It's interesting. I got to wonder how many businesses and such that need contracts will start have a government interrupting my business clause. You know, there's always the acts of God clause.
Sure.
But, you know, we've seen some of these things happen now, and worry of contracts not being fulfilled because of government shutdowns. I wonder if that's going to now be a clause that would be put in so people could, you know, like we've talked about, some of the producers of food that have worried about their contracts being being in violation of their contracts.
Right.
If they go and sell stuff to somebody else because they can't fulfill it.
Yeah. If you won't allow me to fulfill my contract, doesn't mean I can't go sell my product somewhere else.
Yeah. Just because I'm contractually obligated. And I think you're going to see a clause now. And I could be wrong. Stephen Kidder probably could figure that out more than I, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that clause in there if the government takes goofy, stupid action like they did this time and shut everything down.
Steve Kidder said Mick Jagger might officiate my funeral. Of course, he'd be wow.
100.
But they could do it. Trey Molina
You're
says,
almost peers, weren't you, classmates?
Yeah, we went to Brother Gary taught us. Have a great weekend, guys. Trey Molina says that to all of you as well. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We hope that you're safe on the roads and hope that everything goes good for you and your family this weekend. Stay well, stay healthy,